Grey County.
This program is brought to you by Ignite TV. Now you're in command. Visit Rogers.com for more details.
Hello and welcome to HealthLink, a program connecting home, community, and healthcare. My name is Carol Merton, and today I'm delighted to welcome Rachel Taylor, who is the Community Development and Philanthropy Coordinator for Home and Community Support Services, Grey Bruce. And today we're going to talk about HCSS programs and services, Home and Community Support Services, in Grey Bruce. Rachel, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thanks so much for having me on the program.
I struggled with the philanthropy.
That's very common.
I am delighted to have this interview with you because you've sent me lots of information, and I'm just so impressed with the services that HCSS provides to our residents in Grey Bruce. So basically, let's start off. What do you do?
So Home and Community Support Services, Grey Bruce, or HCSS for short, as a lot of people know us. We're a local charitable organization. We have quite a large staff of about 115 people, and we are just about to crack the 600 mark on our team of volunteers, which is very exciting. And what we do is we provide a series of support services, community-based support services, through our team of staff and volunteers that help people basically be able to continue to live at home as long as possible. So a lot of our area seniors or adults that are living with disabilities, our services help them to be able to stay at home longer. And so we have 6 core services that we offer to facilitate that. I'll go through them real quick, and then we can kind of chat about each one a little more in detail. So the 6 are our transportation services, our hot and frozen meals on wheels, our day away program, our overnight respite program, our housekeeping support, and a friendly visiting program. So excellent. Yeah, so much.
Now, just a few questions. Every now and again, I might just jump in, but the more you talk about it, the better. As I'm listening to you, how would, let's say if I wanted service, or if I had a family member that I thought would need service, how would I get that? What do I do? And maybe you can talk about the referral.
So most of those services, you do not need a referral at all. You can self-refer by just calling our offices, and our intake coordinators will basically take you through the registration process to get you signed up as one of our clients. Now, if it is the day away or the overnight respite program that you're interested in, that would need a referral. And again, that's probably best to still call our number, and our intake services staff can get to know your particular situation, and they'll be able to advise you on what's the best way to going about getting that referral.
Excellent. Let's talk about the detail of the services. So first of all, you mentioned, I think, transportation.
Yeah, so our transportation program is so great. As we all know, transportation across all of Grey Bruce is quite difficult sometimes. And so it's a very busy program. We have a fleet of fully accessible vehicles. And so those are operated by our staff. And then we have, as I said, a large team of hundreds of volunteers that help us. And so we provide both short but also long distance rides to folks in the community who are having difficulty getting around. So that can be for non-urgent medical appointments to see your doctor, your dentist, your optometrist, that sort of thing. Or it could be just to go do your shopping, get your hair done, all of those things that are important, or visit a friend or family member. in terms of those all work for short-term transportation. But then we also have long-distance transportation available as well for folks that might need to get to, say, Toronto, London, because they have out-of-area medical appointments. And so, we have folks who are on dialysis that regularly use our program, or cancer patients that are going out of area, folks that need surgeries done. And so they can maybe get those or need to go out of area to get those. And so if they don't have a friend or family member that can help them with that transportation, that's where we come into play. And so it's a great program and helps people get where they need to go to get that care.
Excellent. And transportation is such a critical concern for all residents here in Grey Bruce. Do people need a certain time frame to do you have a waiting list for transportation? What would you advise people if they need something?
Yeah, so if it's something you think you're ever going to need, it's never a bad idea to call and get registered as a client. And then usually we need at least 2 days notice. The more the better, but at least 2 days notice to be able to arrange for one of our staff or volunteers to get that ride for you.
Excellent. So really not a long waiting list when you think about it.
Yeah, and so it might come down in certain times, again, depending on the availability of those staff and volunteers. And that's why we're always recruiting new volunteers to help us with the transportation program as well. So if there's anybody out there who has some extra time on their hands and loves to have a chat and loves a drive, then it's a great way for you two to get out and to meet other people in the community.
So it meets the needs for people who may have extra time on their hands and wanting to help. It actually, you get it paying forward and paying back.
Absolutely.
Both directions. We are taping this around the mealtime of lunch, and I notice you have hot and frozen meals on wheels. So because I'm getting hungry, maybe you can tell me a little bit about that service.
Certainly. So that's probably one of the programs that we offer that most people are familiar with, because Meals on Wheels is a nationwide program. So in Grey and Bruce, we are the ones that facilitate that program. So we have both hot and frozen meals available. It's always our goal to try and ensure that we have all of our services available to everyone across Grey Bruce, no matter where they live. Unfortunately, at this time, hot meals isn't available absolutely everywhere, just due to the lack of availability in certain areas for us to find a restaurant partner to help us with that. But we're almost everywhere across Grey and Bruce with the hot meals. But this is where the frozen meals come in as like the great saver of the day. And so our frozen meal program is available absolutely everywhere, no matter how rural you might be across Grey Bruce. And all of those frozen meals are made by our wonderful restaurant partner, the Lighthouse Restaurant over in Southampton. They make thousands of wonderful, delicious, healthy, and affordable meals for us that are all cooked from scratch there at the restaurant, prepackaged, and then our team of volunteers go out and deliver those meals.
That's
we're
wonderful. Yeah.
So it keeps the costs very affordable, and we're really lucky to have great restaurant partners all across Grey Bruce that help make sure that folks have either the hot, the frozen, or both options available to them.
And you tell me that there are 30 different entree options. So to drill down into the food, you can tell I'm really hungry.
Yeah, the frozen meal menu, folks can find it on our website at hcssgraybruce.com if they're interested. And yes, there's 30 different entree items on the frozen meal menu. And then there's also soups, sides, and desserts available as well. With the hot meal program, you don't get a choice of what your meal is. It's whatever the restaurant happens to be making that day. But with the frozen meals, you're a little more in control.
And those frozen meals are microwavable or oven?
Yes, they're both microwave and oven ready, or you just can't put them in the toaster oven.
Yep. And orders are placed how often?
So originally the frozen meal program was delivering once a month. So you'd place your order and get meals once a month. But we talked to our clients in terms of making sure we're meeting their needs, and a lot of them were finding that their amount of freezer space was too small to carry or to store a month's worth of meals. So we've changed that up now, and we do bi-monthly or twice a month delivery. So every other week, those would be coming, and so that helps out those folks that might be just have an apartment size refrigerator freezer.
So individuals purchase these meals, and then they're able to, I mean, that would be so convenient in so many ways. Transportation, as we mentioned, could be an issue, trying to get out and getting meal products, and just having the convenience of being able to have them in your freezer or a hot meal. Especially since sometimes our weather conditions are not ideal.
Yes. And so all of those meals are delivered, as I said, by our team of volunteers. And so once again, we're always looking for new volunteers. And you're not asked to go out of your area. If you live in Owen Sound, you deliver in Owen Sound. If you live in Hanover, you deliver in Hanover. If you live in Wyerton, you deliver in Wyerton. So we keep you're serving your direct neighbors and helping to take care of your neighbors. And with both the Meals on Wheels and our transportation volunteers, we do also offer mileage reimbursement so that the cost of gas isn't a deterrent for anybody who's thinking they might want to help.
Now, there is another advantage that your organization offers by having volunteers going to the homes, and that's around, for lack of a better term, wellness check. Can you speak a bit about that, Rachel, for us?
Yeah. So every time one of our staff or volunteers with all of our programs, truly, all 6 of our programs, every time we interact with somebody out in the community, it acts as a wellness check. So if you're out, one of our volunteers, and you're out delivering Meals on Wheels, and you go to meet Mary and take her meals, and you're used to seeing Mary, but today maybe she seems a little under the weather, a little off, or maybe she seems a little distraught, then that volunteer would call our offices to let us know, and we get in touch with Mary or her caregiver and have a little chat about, to check in, make sure she's okay. Maybe she's not feeling well, and we can, provide some guidance on how to go about getting care. Maybe she's not feeling well, but she was worried about how she's going to get to the doctor. So then we arrange a ride for her, and, things like that. So those wellness checks with folks are just so important. So.
For sure. And that's where you talked about community helping community, right? And helping to keep people safe in their homes. Day Away program is a very important service that you offer. Fill us in on that.
Yeah, so our Day Away program, it's so fun. Whenever I need a little pick-me-up in my day, I make sure I go take a visit to the Day Away. If I'm having a difficult or a stressful week, then I go visit the Day Away, and it always brings a smile to my face. So we have 6 Day Away locations across both counties, so that we can make sure there's a location close to everyone. So those 6 locations are in Wyerton, Owen Sound, Meaford, Markdale, Hanover, and Port Elgin. And so we've got the map pretty covered in terms of the geography there. And then no matter where anyone lives, we can get them to the Day Away. And if they need a ride, we've got transportation for that. And so at the Day Away, there's lots of snacks, for sure. I talk a lot about the food. Snacks. There's a full lunch that everybody gets from our hot meal providers, which is great. Our team of nurses, PSWs, and activity coordinators make sure that there's fun activities planned for people to do throughout the day. They play cards, they might do puzzles. There's always both a cognitive and a physical exercise component to the day's activities. Make sure we're keeping our body and our brains moving, which is so important as we age. And it's just it's a nice fun day to get out. And so it's wonderful for the client. It's all happening in a medically supervised environment. And so it's a safe place for them to be and have a great day. But the real wonderful advantage of the Day Away program is that while that person is out having their fun day out, their caregiver is getting an opportunity to rest. And for anybody who's ever been a 24/7 caregiver, we know how important that opportunity to have a break is for their own personal wellness and their ability to keep up with that job, which is a tireless one for sure.
Yeah. You certainly mentioned earlier in the program, to be able to support people in their own homes, but the caregivers are a critical component of that support. So you're actually supporting more than a client, you're supporting a family as well.
Absolutely. Yeah. When we think about what we do, we're caring for that person, but yeah, that care extends to their direct family, but also, it might be sons and daughters that live at a distance that just have a sense of, okay, I know mom and dad are in good hands, right?
Yeah.
And I know they have these resources at their disposal that they can call upon if they need them. And so, yeah, the breadth of what we do, it really reaches quite far and wide.
For sure. Now, before we go on to the next program that you'd mentioned, which is the overnight respite, all of this costs money. Some of it is, the individuals, for example, the meal program, but it costs money. You talked about volunteers donating their time, and the community might want to add if they have volunteer time, but it also financially, if anyone's listening and they really want to support either the organization or a particular program, how would they do that? By donations?
So we can take donations over the phone. Folks can walk into our main office, which is located at Heritage Place Mall in Owen Sound, and you might see me there and be like, "Hey, Rich, do you want some money?" And I would definitely find that a good home. Or we can, folks can mail in a check to us. So, the same way almost every other charity, the phone, website, mail, all of those are an option for us to receive a donation. All of the donations that we do receive, they go to helping us with our subsidy programs. So as you said, our most of our programs, with one exception, all have a small fee attached to them. We do try as best we can to keep those fees as low as possible. But unfortunately, there are still people in our community that struggle financially with those costs. And so that's where the community donations and the generosity comes in. And so all of the donations that we get, they first and foremost go to our subsidy programs. So folks who maybe need Meals on Wheels but cannot quite afford them, then we can help them with a subsidy. People who want to attend the day away but can't quite afford it, we can help them with a subsidy for that. So when I first started with the organization about a year and a half ago, we only had a subsidy for 2 programs, but now I'm really proud to say that through the generous work of our community, all of our programs have that available. So it's very, very good news.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So overnight respite, housekeeping, and friendly visiting.
Yeah. So overnight respite is kind of like an extension of the day program. So the overnight respite program happens in our Owen Sound and our Hanover day away locations. And so if you're going to be in the overnight respite, you come to day away in one of those locations, depending on what's closer for you. And then you basically spend the night with us as well. And so the program just continues through the evening, but more low key because folks tend to be a little bit tired. So it's more low key activities in the evening, and they'll have dinner, maybe watch TV, like a show or a movie together. And then the next day, they're already ready to go a day away again.
So it's provided right at the day away location. It's not provided in their home. It's actually okay.
And so then the caregiver actually, they get to have the house to themselves. Or for some people, maybe they plan to go visit some family long distance for a little bit, or have a wedding to attend on a weekend. Just because you're somebody's caregiver doesn't mean that your life should halt completely, right? And so it allows people to get that little bit of a break or vacation of that role for a little bit. And so you can do that for a few days in a row, again, depending on your needs. And as I said before, we've got transportation if transportation is needed.
It kind of adds a whole new dimension to the term sleepover.
Yes, yes. Yeah.
Housekeeping services. That really caught my eye.
Yeah. And so that was probably pretty self-explanatory. Again, as we age, we want to stay in our homes, but some of the daily maintenance can be a little much for some folks, especially physically. That might get a little overwhelming. And so that's where we can come in and help alleviate that a bit. And so we call it the housekeeping program, but I'll be honest, it expands to a little bit more than that quite often when our staff and the clients get to build up a little bit of a relationship together. I've heard lovely stories about our housekeepers. There was one wonderful story about this woman. Her grandkids were coming to visit on the weekend leading up to the holidays. And so the housekeeper did the cleaning, but then she helped her with making some Christmas cookies for the grandkids and putting up the Christmas tree and getting the ornaments and all that out and on the tree so that everything was nice and festive for that visit. So they do the obvious stuff, but they can do a lot more as well in terms of helping folks out in our home.
Now, before we talk about friendly visiting, volunteers are trained by your organization, though, right? You offer training because some situations maybe present differently than others, right?
Yeah, so we have our volunteer coordinator, Holly. She does an initial orientation with folks just to the organization as a whole when they first come in. And then she hand them off to the individual department that they are going to volunteer with. So transportation, Meals on Wheels, that sort of thing. And then they would get more specific program training from there.
Okay. Friendly visiting.
So Friendly Visiting is our one program that's completely free because it's other than our one staff member, Polly, who works in Friendly Visiting, everything else is completely based on volunteers. So what Polly does as the Friendly Visiting coordinator is she takes anyone who's interested in being a friendly visitor and anybody who wants a friendly visitor, she gets to know them and kind of works like a matchmaker to build some friendships. Mm-hmm. And she finds out about people's interests, hobbies, that sort of thing, and looks for folks that would get along. And Polly goes on the first initial friendly visit, first one or two, with each new friendship couple that she makes in terms of making sure that it's a good match and that everyone's comfortable. And, the first time you meet someone, it might be a little awkward. So she helps break away that tension. And then from there, what we hope to see is possibly a weekly or at least a somewhat regular visit in the home of the person who is looking to have a little more socialization. So it's a great way if you're in your home and you're finding it difficult to get out to have somebody come in. But if you have the ability to go out and you just want some socialization, then becoming a friendly visiting volunteer might be the perfect place for you to help.
I'm so impressed with the services. most important to me is the fact that this service is important to keep people at home. And I know you provided some information statistically about how that actually is accomplished. Can you speak a little bit about the percentages that you found that help to keep people at home?
Yeah. So there was not too long ago, there was some surveys done across the province, and over 90% of people, I think it was over 93% of people reported that they would like to continue to live at home as long as possible. That's what the majority of Ontarians are telling the province that they want. They would rather continue to live in their homes rather than end up in long-term care prematurely. And when folks dug down and looked even closer, it was reported that about 8% of people that are going into long-term care are doing so somewhat prematurely, and that if they had a little extra help at home, then that might be able to keep them at home longer. And so as a province, that's going to be a more effective use of our healthcare dollars. For the individual, it's going to give them what they want. And so keeping people at home where they want to be, in their homes, with their family, with their community, it's really a win-win-win what we're trying to go for here in terms of what the individual wants, what's good for the community as a whole, and what's the best use of our healthcare dollars.
So we have just a couple of minutes left in the program, and you've indicated there's a bit of a political message that you'd like to share about the service and how people can support, your service.
Well, it's been a little while since we've had any increases to our funding, which is unfortunate. As again, when all the data shows that this is what the people in our communities want as we age, and so don't be afraid to have a chat with our local governing officials at all levels to let them know that, to remind them of that. And the demand for these services is only going to increase over the next while. And, we need to let them know you need to let them know what it is that you want to see and how you want your tax dollars to use.
Fundraising. So we've talked about donations and volunteer time donations. Any fundraising projects or events you'd like us to be aware of?
Yeah, so we're just about to kick off a summer sort of awareness and fundraising campaign that we call Kindness Makes Sense, with the sense spelled with a C, C-E-N-T-S. Yeah. And the idea, well, all of what we do at Home and Community Support Services really relies on the concept of neighbors helping neighbors, all of us helping each other out, right? We're all very familiar with the concept of it takes a village when we think of caring for the youngest people in our community, but it takes a village to take care of all the vulnerable people in our community. And so with Kindness Makes Sense, we are encouraging folks in the community to do acts of kindness and then use those acts of kindness as a catalyst to start a conversation, to let people know about our programs so they know what services are available to them, but then also maybe let them know about what volunteering needs we have and the fundraising needs. So maybe the act of kindness is that you inquire about learning how to become one of our volunteers and look into that. Or maybe it's making a donation to our organization, or maybe it's just checking on your neighbor and seeing how they're doing, and maybe, saying, hey, did you know that these services exist and they might be helpful for you?
Excellent. And we're going to watch for your kindness pop-up events that I know you've got planned.
Yep.
Rachel, this has been excellent. I have really, really appreciated the time that you've spent, but also the information and your enthusiasm. There is no doubt this is an important service and that you're offering a community kindness.
Absolutely. Absolutely. There's no shame in asking for a little bit of assistance and help. And in fact, earlier preventative help is what's going to help you actually keep at home longer. So don't be afraid to give us a call.
Excellent. Thank you so much. And thank you to our viewing audience for listening and watching to the program today. Please join us again to learn more about services that can be offered to you and to your family. Take care and stay safe.
Call the Rogers TV Viewer Response Line. Email us or connect with us on social media.
October 5th, 2014, my daughter was hit by a train. She was walking along the sides of the tracks, and it shattered her world.
It isn't the heavy trays that make the job difficult, or the fast pace you need to keep up. It's not working another double because